Hi, welcome to Nourishing Body and Soul, the podcast. Get ready to revitalize your mind, body, and soul. We're here to inspire women who are looking to break free from old patterns and ideas to create a life of increased confidence and improved health. Say goodbye to limiting beliefs and hello to new possibilities. So kick back, get ready to have some fun, and let's dive in. We'll uncover tools and insights that can help you build a life that's truly nourishing, body and soul. Hi, I'm Tracy.
And I'm Victoria.
And welcome to the podcast, or that are here with us on podcast. But there's no L in that word.
There isn't.
But we're glad you're here, whatever this is we're doing.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So February, happy February.
Yes, happy February.
We hope you're not all too frozen or wet.
Yeah. We're tired of the dark.
We're on the upswing though with that.
We are.
I have felt that more this year than I have in years past.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like I find myself waking up in the morning going, and it's not like I'm waking up at 3. And I'm like, come on, man, when's the light gonna be here? You know? I'm okay. I'm done waking up in the dark hours.
Yeah. And getting dark early. So anyway, but
yeah. And you're getting longer again.
Yes.
Yay. We made it through. Now we just gotta hold on for a little longer.
Yeah.
But with that, it's easier. We're going to be talking about slowing down today.
Yes.
And it is easier to slow down when it's dark. That is one advantage.
Yes, yeah.
But
darkness is my time. I'm like a vampire. Yeah, I'm like the person who stays up all night working.
Well, then I guess the longer days are probably a good thing for your.
They are. When the light starts hitting, if it starts getting light outside, I'm like, oh crap, I need to get to bed. Yeah. So when they wait, and it waits too long, I'm like, oh, dang, it's really been late. Yeah. Anyway, slowing down.
Yeah. Yes. And we've talked about this in various ways before, but this is like one of the main things that I work with people on first. So, let's just start with, and as I asked Victoria this question, think about this, how you would answer this for yourself. Tell me about your last moment that you just had, quiet moment where your mind was just, okay, just being still.
Where my mind was still.
Where you were relaxed.
1986. When I was a kid.
That was the last time you relaxed?
1986. When the Giants won the World Series in 2014. Yeah, the day after that.
That was your relaxation day, huh?
Yeah, although the 49ers just not that long ago.
And they got
to the Super Bowl, but that was not there was nothing relaxing about that game. There was nothing relaxing even about after it, because it's like, oh, it was an assault, but they won. They won. Mm-hmm.
They did.
Yes, which kind of relates, because if you're a quarterback, one of the things you have to do, I've never been a quarterback, but still, they talk about it, is like being quiet in the moment and quiet in the pocket and like just taking the breath and,
yeah,
like pro teams are now hiring breath coaches to like help them, so that when they get up to the plate to bat, or when they're waiting for the hike or whatever, 10 hut.
We're in the military now.
I don't know. Yeah, so clearly I've never been on the football field in a way that
Oh. Okay. Yeah, and that's exciting to hear. And this is why.
That's why it's so important.
Yeah.
It's important because.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it, think about how do you feel like physically and mentally when you're in that quiet moment?
How do I feel?
Yeah.
I'm not joking that I can't quite remember when the last quiet moment was in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if here, like scuba diving is where I feel the most quiet. And one, you can't hear because you're in the middle of water, but like your breathing has to, the one thing that has to happen, Like you don't need to be terribly strong or even terribly fit, but you have to be able to breathe properly. And when you breathe, you want to breathe slowly so you're not gulping air, so you can conserve your air, and you have to breathe evenly, because you can't be like holding your breath and having like oxygen build up in your body. So yeah, just the whole like act of breathing very deliberately and slowly is very meditative. It's very relaxing.
Yeah, and breathing is part of so many things of meditation, and all various kinds of yoga are they're all, the breathing is specific, and singing is breath specific, and speaking publicly is breath specific, and now professional sports teams are hiring breath coaches, and there are apps and businesses that are designed to teach people how to breathe. And it might sound like a weird thing because it's breathing. We know how to do this.
Yeah.
But
My watch
I was just gonna say, if you have a smart watch, it may be surprising to you that when you're finding out.
It heard it was supposed to be doing something, and now it's decided I should exercise right now. Okay, I stopped it.
It's like you need to breathe.
Yeah. Exactly.
But if we think about, so there's just this.
And why? So why is breathing so important? Like, why does that actually work?
We'll get to that in just a second.
Oh, okay.
But first, by contrasting, what does it feel? What does the opposite end of that feel like when we're all anxious and stressed? And what does that feel like in your body?
Yeah, it's everything's tense, like right here, like I can just say right now, right here is just like that noise. Even if you were in my body, go. Yeah. So it's not relaxing, and it's not fun, and it's not, you're not super helpful either. And it's easier to get irritated. It's easier to lose patience. It's easier to be frustrated. It's just easier to be all the kinds of things that we don't really want to be. I mean, some people might if they're narcissistic and weird, but like for most of us, we don't want to be impatient or frustrated with people. We want to just be like chill and calm, or at least nice and calm. We want
to have peace and be able to act like mature, rational people.
Yes.
So there's the stress response and the relaxation response. And the physical aspects of that, when we're in that stress response, it causes, like, this is when your heart rate goes up, this is when your blood pressure goes up, this is when your thoughts they can get like super hyper clear, and time slows down in moments where it's being effective for you, or your thoughts, like you jump from one thing to another, your thoughts scatter, all of these things that physical reactions. Because when we go into a stress response, our sympathetic nervous system is activated. Hormones like adrenaline and noradrenaline and cortisol and insulin all are coursing through our system, and it's part of that fight or flight reflex. And our bodies were designed way a long time ago to preserve ourselves. Okay, I got to fight or flight. I got to get out of here. And so it triggers all of this anxious kind of behavior and thoughts and all of that. There's a place for that. There's a time when we need to be able to do that. Man, my husband is so amazing in such high stress situations like that, where years ago when he was working as a mechanic, he was pretty severely burned, and he was the injured one going, okay, now do this, now do that. His mind gets very clear and very focused in those moments. And I tell you, if you're ever in an emergency, you want him around. And that's where, I mean, there's a real place for that. But in everyday life, we've all heard about how low level stress is such a harmful thing for our bodies. There's so many things that happen to our bodies when they're under just this constant low level stress. Even worse than these moments of stress here and there is the constant low level stress. And it's because of this relaxation versus stress response. So this has an impact on just like everyday life, and it's great to slow down in everyday life. But even specifically when we're talking about food and eating, if we eat fast, that triggers a stress response. And what that does for our eating, digestion issues, it can cause heartburn, it can cause cramping, it can cause, or, digestive slowdown, it can cause, all kinds of.
Binging too. It's way,
Yeah,
like,
because you're in that stress
yeah,
response
when I've been in my binging phase or whatever, which comes in and out for me, like, I still, when I'm eating, I'm like eating fast. I'm eating fast. Like, here's cookies. Okay. Here's 3. Oh, here's 4. I don't even know, So,
Yeah, and that it can impact our hunger too, and it can either cause really intense hunger, or for some people, when they get very stressed, their appetite completely goes away. And it can cause can cause gas and belching and all of these things that people think we need our Tums for. So much of that can be attributable to, acid reflux can be attributed to not just the speed that we're eating, but how we're eating, the condition that we're eating in. This excuse me, this book by the man who's founded the institute where I got my certification. He has a book called The Slow Down Diet. And from that, one of the things he says is that the slower you eat, the faster you metabolize. Because when we stop and breathe before we eat, which we've talked about in so many things, so many different applications, but it helps with not only putting us more in tune with the pleasure of our food and being able to just take pleasure in it. It can affect appetite regulation, because we're so much more attuned to what we're eating and how much we're eating, and so it can help with that. But even aside from that, when we slow down, particularly with eating, we put our body into this relaxation response instead of the stress response, and that keeps, if we're triggering those cortisol and insulin releases, that triggers our body to hold on to fat. It literally triggers the blood flow to our brain, or away from our digestion to our arms and legs. It's enabling us to get out of there. And so we're literally slowing down our digestive ability when we're eating in a stress response. And so slowing down is not just, there's all kinds of science behind this. This book has 2 pages, a pretty small print of things. I'm not going to read them all to you. But all of the things that can happen when we're eating under a stress response. And so obviously with eating, taking time to slow down, but not just with eating. This is just in life in general. I had a friend a wonderful woman who she's just lovely to be around. And I asked her one time, I said, what are you doing, now that your kids are all in school and you have your days to yourself, how are you filling your days? What are you doing with your days? And she stopped and she thought, she's like, actually, I'm basically doing the same stuff I was doing before, just slower.
Oh,
I thought,
that's good.
Yes, yes. We live in our society is kind of built around, performance and tasks equal value.
Yeah.
And so to be somebody who slows down, and we're seeing more of the value of slowing down. And that, when you've got these professional athletes who are learning how to breathe, it's because they're learning to, yes, they're in a physically active game.
Yeah.
They need to be having, the full use of their bodies and their brains, but to be able to think clearly and to just be in that moment.
Yeah.
Have we talked about the flea markets before?
I don't think so.
The French flea markets as opposed to American flea markets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's that our society is designed around food that's fast, that's easy, take it, carry it, go. Our flea markets
Hot
here.
dogs.
Yeah, our flea markets here, everything's on a stick. You can get everything on a stick, everything on a stick.
Yeah.
Or things that are designed in a little thing that you can take and eat as you go.
Funnel cake.
Yeah, all of that.
Whatever.
French fries, whatever. There's all
all the things. Right. Sorry, I'm hungry right now. This all sounded good. French fries. Okay, go. Funnel cake. Yeah, go.
And then a friend of mine, and we had been talking about this, and she was headed to Paris. I said, pay attention. The French know how to do this. And we've talked about that before, how to just take pleasure with food. And she said her and her mom went to a flea market in France, and they had tablecloths and flowers. And it's like, it was designed that, you could buy food there, but you sit down and you eat your food.
You have a meal. You enjoy your meal.
And so there's just so much more pleasure, not just pleasure, but there's like I said, all kinds of science to back up the importance of slowing down, slowing down.
Makes a difference.
Yeah.
You know, I have new hearing aids, and I have been losing my hearing since I was 18. And so they're brand new.
Mhm.
And I'm taking, I don't know, it's not exactly classes,
Mhm.
kind of, it's like classes
Mhm.
that I have to take to have my brain relearn how to hear,
Mhm.
because all those like things are done. But our last class that we had was about how we have to slow down, how we have to meditate, how we have to like be present in the moment and be mindful, because when you're not being mindful and you're not present in the moment, it's a lot harder to hear. And so if you just slow down, they said,
Mhm.
you know, because they're not like, hearing aids aren't like glasses. Maybe they are for some people, but for some people, it's not like I can put on glasses and I can see, put in the hearing aids, and then my brain still needs to relearn how to hear. So anyway, it's been interesting, but that was the very thing they said, was to be mindful in the moment so that you can so it affects, basically what I'm saying is it affects everything. It affects all kinds of things that you wouldn't, you wouldn't normally think about.
Yeah.
So if you want to be the bionic woman with here, you be mindful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? The bionic woman, didn't she have like extra hearing?
I think so. I think that was one of her things.
Sorry, showing my age, big time.
But yeah, so slow down.
Slow down. You move too
Slow
fast.
down. And even here's the miracle of this that I think is so phenomenal. It's not like we have to go, okay, I need to slow down. I'm just going to slow down the pace of my whole life.
Yeah.
How realistic is that for
Yeah.
most people?
No, not.
Literally, if we can take less than 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds can make a huge difference. If we can meditate for 3 minutes in the morning, that it makes a huge difference.
Really? Because it feels like I need to meditate for a half hour. I mean, I know that that's impossible for me, but like at least like 15 minutes, but even like 3, I probably can do 3.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
My mind is a little monkey mind. They call it the monkey mind.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
It's so aptly named. I love it. It's like, this is exactly what it feels like. It is bouncing all over.
Yeah. But 3 minutes, I probably can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Even just before we eat, and not just before we eat. I use this a lot with clients because it's the area I work in. But to stop and take, I tell them at least 3. 5 is nicer, but if you can just take at least 3 deep breaths, literally, if you're counting to 4 on your inhale and your exhale, how long does 3 deep breaths take? Less than 30 seconds. And it gets your parasympathetic nervous system activated. And so anytime, if I find myself sitting in traffic and I'm like, oh, I was like, oh, okay, no, this is not, I don't want that contracted feeling.
Yeah.
I'll just like, okay, I can be here. And it just, if this is something that interests you, or if you're skeptical about this, do a little research. We don't have time to go into all of that on a podcast episode, but the science behind this is so strong. In traffic, with eating, at work, with your children, with a spouse, with just any situation in your life, taking the time to center and breathe
on the football field
makes a difference. Yes. If you're playing the Super Bowl coming up, you use your breathing.
Yes. Or the World Series.
Or the World Series. That's not for a little while though.
Yeah.
So.
No. Yeah.
But anyway, so
all right.
Let's take a deep breath here.
There you go. That actually felt better.
It does. Like the first breath makes a difference.
Yes. All right. First breath makes a difference. You heard it here.
Yeah. So nourish your body and your soul with the simple and very free act of breathing.
Have a good week, everybody.
See you next time. Hey, if you want to help us grow this podcast that we're having fun doing, like and subscribe.
And comment.
Oh, yes.
Please comment. We will comment back.
Yes, we will. Hey, it's Tracy. If this was helpful and you'd like more, follow me on Instagram at tlastel.nourishingbodyansoul or on Facebook or YouTube at Nourishing Body and Soul, or you can find my website at nourishingbodysoul.com. Thanks for tuning in to Nourishing Body and Soul, the podcast. Before we wrap up, we just want to remind you that the information we share in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended for medical advice. While we hope you find our discussions helpful, we strongly recommend that you seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise routine, or any other aspect of your health. We also want to make it clear that the host, guests, and producers of this podcast are not responsible for any adverse effects or consequences that may result from the use of any information or suggestion discussed in this podcast. We care about your well-being, but we can't take responsibility for individual outcomes. By listening to this podcast, you agree to indemnify and hold harmless the host, guests, and producers of this podcast from and against any and all claims, damages, liabilities, costs, and expenses arising from your use of the information provided in this podcast. We're so grateful for your support, and we hope you keep listening and learning with us. Thanks.